Well, good morning everybody, and welcome back to the Life's Good. It's been a few days since we had a chance to get out here and make a video. It's Saturday, forecast rain, so we're trying to get a few things done before the rain hits. And also Newcastle are playing today, and it's on the telly at 12:30, so I wouldn't mind watching that. If you look over my left shoulder, the right hand side of the screen here, you'll see Cheryl's locked in the cage. She's actually in the fruit cage, and she's picking the black currants and red currants that are now ready for harvesting. We've got a few other things in the garden we're going to harvest today, a couple of bits of tidying up to do. If you look over my other shoulder, you can see in the background behind the fence that the extension on the neighbour's house is coming along nicely. However, they're not working today, which has given us a little respite from the noise of a small building site. So they've been busy with all their tools and equipment, sawing, chopping, banging, shouting, radios, all the things you get on a small building site. They're coming along nicely with that. It won't be many weeks and that'll all be finished, so things should calm down. But you can see the scaffolding and the brickwork there, so you can have some idea of what is happening just the other side of our fence. Well, I'm going to join Cheryl. We'll crack on and do a few things and take you along with us. Oh, and if it's your first time here and you want to support our channel, please take the time to hit that little red button in the corner. There should be a little red YouTube button in the corner that if you tap that, you subscribe to our channel, and that helps support the channel, and the algorithm within YouTube picks up on that activity and helps to promote our channel around the world of YouTube. Well, let's go and have a look and see what Cheryl's up to and other things that we're going to be doing in the garden today. See you in a minute. Hi Cheryl, we've come to join you, see you in your cage. This is the fruit cage, guys. I locked Cheryl in here this morning so she could crack on and pick our currants. How many have you got there so far, Cheryl?
I don't know.
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
Can you lift them up so we can see those? Oh, that's perfect.
Yay.
Oh, there's quite a few in there. Yeah. Now these are black currants, guys. Behind Cheryl in the corner there is one red currant bush. Although we've never had that many currants on that one for some reason. No. The black currants seem to do better in this corner. It might be the soil, it might just be the sunlight, or all manner of things. But we have got an abundance of black currants here. Have you got a technique for taking these off, Cheryl, or do you just pull them?
Well, not really. I just grab a hold of a bunch.
Take the whole bunch?
And just pull them off. You
by the handful?
Take the stalks off. I may
take them off by
That
handfuls?
when I get home, get back in the house. Some people use a fork and just pull them through the fork.
So comb through the currants with a fork and pull them off, and hold the bowl underneath. That would be a good idea.
I find that difficult, but
maybe use an afro comb or something like that.
Well, something like that, or a fork or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, that's good.
These aren't ready, but there's a lot of really dark ones.
So if I turn the camera around, you're just looking at that shrub there. Can you lift that up so we can see?
This one.
Oh gosh, yes, there's lots and lots in there. Rather a lot. Just notice you've got a bumblebee on your arm there, keeping you company. Wonderful. So what do you do with these now? Are you going to be storing these in any way?
Well, I'm going to freeze them again, like the raspberries. The same principle. I line them on a tray. I'm going to wash them first, take them bits of stalks off, if you know what I mean.
Right, so you clean them all up, wash them, spread them on that baking tray, freeze them,
yeah,
and then when they're all frozen, put them in a bag,
yeah,
and then back in the freezer for long storage.
Well, I don't put them in till they're frozen, but I just put them in enough so that they're firm.
So they stay apart and separate.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then we can make jam with these.
Yes.
And sometimes the fruit's better when it's been frozen.
Yes, this is something else that we should point out, that sometimes if you freeze the currants, all the fruit, our rhubarb for example, the raspberries, all of those, if you freeze them for a while before you use them, they tend to be better in your jams and chutneys and wines and so on.
Out the fruit.
Actually I'll just point out, there is a ladybird in your bowl,
I know,
Cheryl.
I've seen that.
He's crawling around. So we've got a lot of wildlife in here as well. These currant bushes do attract a lot. Ladybirds and bees and other insects.
I've got a spider or two.
A few spiders as well, I no doubt. Excellent.
So I'm just going to grab as many as I can today, and then I have to come back another day to get, the other
ones that have ripened. Okay.
Ripen off.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to go over and take a look at our peas now.
All right.
So
okay.
we'll see you in a bit, Cheryl.
All right. I'll stay in the.
We'll leave you locked in the cage.
In the cage.
So you crack on in here.
I will.
And you're not allowed out until you're finished.
Oh, hey. Oh, yeah.
See you later, darling.
See you soon.
I know things are a bit crowded on this plot. I do try and get as much as I can in a small space, but hopefully you can see that in this area I've got my garden peas. This was a variety called Ambassador, and a lot of these now are ready for picking, and we've got some nice little pods on here. I'll just pick this one off and show you the sort of peas inside. The pods are about 2.5 inches long mostly. They're not huge. I've noticed there's a few lower down, a lot fatter. They tend to mature more lower down the plant. As the plant grows, you can see up here there's more flower on the tips here. These flowers will produce more pods. Further down where the early flowers came on, these are now full pods. If I twist this one open, guys, you should be able to see the size of the peas that I get from these. There's a few there, there's 4 there. Beautiful peas. They're a good size, they're really sweet. In fact, I'm going to try one now. Very sweet, very tender. These are going to be wonderful with our dinners, and much the same way as Cheryl has explained with the fruit that we've been harvesting, we will take all these pods indoors and we will shell them, spread the peas on a tray, pop them in the freezer for a while, and just as they're frozen, bag them up back in the freezer for long-term storage. And that process keeps them separate in the bag. They don't freeze together as a big mass, as a big heavy lump. Freezing them flat on the tray in a bag after, long-term storage in the freezer, and just fetch out the ones you need to have with your dinner. So that's our Ambassador peas. I've got 2 rows of these here, so we'll be harvesting those as the day progresses. I wanted to take a look at the broad beans, so we'll move over in the corner adjacent to the fruit cage where Cheryl is and have a look at the broad beans and see how we're doing with those. Well, this is our small crop of broad beans, guys. I can't remember the name of them right now. I'll have to look that up. But a few days ago we had some really strong windy weather, and these poor chaps have suffered badly. I've actually got stems here that have snapped off completely, and they've just completely withered. There's quite a bit of damage in here. They're falling over. I did say early on in one of my videos that when you plant your broad beans, as they grow, you should give them some support. I grew these quite close together, and they were supporting each other quite well, and some of them were actually supported by the fruit cage adjacent to them.
Oh,
but
those
unfortunately,
winds were particularly strong, AJ. They were 48 miles an hour.
they were. We're in 40 and 50 mile an hour winds, guys, and it's beat the hell out of these. And quite a few other things in the garden actually, but most of it's come back all right. But these have suffered badly. But I do have some pods on here, so there may be some harvest to be had from these. Some are still producing pod. I'm just feeling these pods, guys. If you press them together between your thumb and forefinger, you can feel if there's a bean inside. Now some of these have got beans, although they're very small. So I won't harvest them yet. I'll let them carry on swelling and growing. There's not that many pods. As I said, they did suffer badly with the wind, and unfortunately a lot of them have collapsed and snapped. There's a big pod there, but when you feel it and you squeeze it, it's actually quite hollow. So in terms of success, I'm not sure that my broad bean harvest is going to be that successful this year. It won't stop me growing them again. Next year I will grow some more, maybe in a different location. I might even try a different variety. But varieties aside, the biggest problem here in this corner has been the wind damage during some successive storms that we have had. So I'll keep an eye on these and see if the pods that are on here continue to mature and fill with bean. Other than that, there's not a lot else I can do. As I said, the majority of them seem to have snapped off completely. Well, in this corner of the plot, this is our carrot crop, and these shorter ones at the front here with slightly darker foliage are the Amsterdam variety, and the ones behind that are a lot taller and a lot lighter in colour, these are the bigger Autumn King variety. Now I was hoping to maybe pull one or two for you to see, guys, if I can find a reasonable one to pull out, and we'll show you the difference between the two. See if I can get round here. They're in the ground quite well. There's one there I could probably pull. You'll see the difference between the two varieties. Now that's actually a short stumpy one, but I was hoping to show you that ordinarily, here we go, that's a good example. That, I've lost the other one now. It's a very short stumpy one, but that is how I would expect the Amsterdam variety to look. They're a long, tapered, smaller, narrower carrot, as opposed to the Autumn King, which is this variety. You can see the difference in the foliage here. Much longer, thicker foliage than this one. This is quite small, long, thin, tapered one, and a much chunkier Autumn King. Most of these now probably ready for harvesting. Again, they can be taken in and used as soon as we want them now. They won't hurt to stay in the ground for some time yet, but we can come out here now and start pulling carrot and having these with our dinner as and when we want to. So I'm quite pleased with the carrot crop this year. As I said, Amsterdam, Autumn King, two nice varieties to grow. Another thing I wanted to show you was my beetroot crop. Now I multi-sow these. I had one of those 24 cell plastic trays, and I sowed 3, 4, 5 beetroot seeds in each cell, and then when they were mature enough, I planted out each of those cell plugs in the ground in this location and allow them to grow as a clump. Now some of these now are ready for use. We do like beetroots cooked with dinner. Cheryl makes a nice pickled beetroot, and she makes a nice beetroot relish using onion, beetroot and vinegar. She shreds the beetroot and the onion, puts it with vinegar in jars. Really nice relish. If I can get hold of one of these, now the way I harvest these, they're together as a clump, 4 or 5 together. You get hold of the biggest one and give it a little twist and pull it out. And I can do that with one of these here. I get in here, give this a little twist and pull. And there, guys, is a nice baby beetroot ready to be boiled and peeled and eaten alongside some other vegetables for our dinner. I'm looking in here, there are several others all ready for harvesting. I'll lift you off and let you look in close to these. You can see how they're growing as a clump and how I pull one out from that clump. So I'll just lift you down and show you. Well, if you look down in here, guys, you can see, looking amongst the leaves and the stalks, that larger one adjacent to that smaller one, I've already taken one from this clump. This one has matured considerably, and I'm going to try and get hold of that one there and give it a twist and give it a pull. In fact, I've got the two together, it doesn't matter. But that now is a good sized beetroot again to have with our dinner. So I've got 2 now reasonable beetroots, put them together, there we go, 2 lovely beetroot to have with our dinner today. As you can see, the shallots are doing really well. There's 1 or 2 weeds in here. I keep pulling the odd, there's some grass or something growing here, might even be some wheat or barley where the bird seed has blown around from the bird feeders. But the shallots themselves, I explained before, you plant 1 shallot set, onion set, 1 bulb you plant. As it grows, it splits into 4, 5, sometimes even more. You can see one here, I hope. You've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a little one. There's almost 8 shallots in that clump alone. So a really good set over there. I hope you can see those ones, guys. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 in there. Another one here, 6 in there, and so on. Now what happens now, they're not ready for harvesting, as I said. I want them to be a lot drier. Now what's happening is as they're maturing now and swelling, they're forcing themselves out and open. And the foliage, or these stems, these leaves, looking like spring onions in effect, gradually lie down. And then, hopefully with the dry warm weather, they start to wither and dry. And the skins go brown on the shallots. And when they're nice and crispy brown, withered foliage or died back, that's the time to lift them, separate them, and take them indoors to prepare them. And as I said before, these are being grown specifically for pickled onions. So each individual one of these shallots will become 1 pickled onion, and by the looks of things I'm going to have quite a few to pickle in jars to be used during the autumn and winter months to come. The rhubarb has done exceedingly well this year. We've had an abundance of rhubarb pulled from here, and it keeps coming back prolifically. So we will be looking at ways to preserve this, and I'm seriously considering making some more rhubarb wine. And if you look back at last year, I did a series, 4 or 5 videos long, of making rhubarb wine, and I'll put a link at the top of the screen here. If you see that link pop up, tap on that and that will take you to the rhubarb wine playlist, and you can check out how to make rhubarb wine. I think that's a plus for this year. We will be doing that. Other than that, it can be frozen, so diced into pieces, put in bags and frozen to be used again during the winter months. The potatoes grown in tubs. I've got Desiree potatoes in all these tubs here. You can see along here there's 3 large tubs there, and I've got several tubs behind the greenhouse, and in fact one of those is actually a shopping bag. And if you looked at when I planted my potatoes, one of those videos shows you how I used a shopping bag filled with compost to grow potatoes in. They're doing really well. They're not ready for harvesting yet. There's a little way to go yet. I've noticed that most of them have got flowers on, so if they're flowering, that's a good sign. They will be producing the potato tubers inside those tubs, and once the stems and the foliage, which is referred to as helm, once the helm has died back or started to die back, that's an indication that they'll be just about ready for harvesting. So when I harvest my potatoes, I will show you what sort of yield we get from each of these tubs. Lastly, I wanted to take a quick look at the runner beans. I'm growing runner beans in these 4 containers against the shed. Same location that I did last year, with great success. They seem to like growing in this location. It is a bit sheltered. It is the north side of the shed. Doesn't get direct sunlight, but runner beans can tolerate a bit of shade. Having said that, we do get a bit of early morning sunlight over the fence and the gate from there behind you at the moment, shines in here, and at the end of the day we get some late afternoon, early evening sun coming in over the scaffolding. So they do get a little bit, but they tolerate shade, as I said, and was successful growing here last year. I put them in this time. I grew them in a multi-cell tray, these ones. I had a 24-cell tray, 1 bean per cell. Let them grow on until they were quite tall, probably 10 inches to a foot tall, and they completely filled those cells with a root mass. And then I transplanted them into these containers of compost, each with its own cane to climb, and they're doing really well. Actually, some of these have gone 4 or 5 feet up now, others are just a couple of feet tall, but they're doing a lot better than the ones I planted earlier behind you guys against the bike shed. I grew some beans early in the season in the cardboard inners from toilet rolls. Cardboard rolls, compost, beans planted, they grew, they matured, and I planted them complete with the cardboard in that little area of ground by the bike shed. They're growing, they're climbing the canes, but they're only a foot tall, and they've been in a month longer than these. Not doing so well there. Don't know why. Maybe they don't like the restriction of the cardboard tube. Maybe the soil's poor quality. Maybe because they get a lot more wind and direct sunlight there, they still haven't done very well. Maybe I grew them too early in the season. That's a possibility. These are doing really well. Really pleased with these. So looking forward to a good harvest of runner beans again this year. We've had a good day outside in the garden, guys. We've had a good tidy up and harvested quite a bit of produce, which we can now use straight away and store. And we've got an abundance of stuff here. We've got raspberries, beetroot, peas, currants, rhubarb, carrots as well. So a good day for us, a nice little harvest, and of course there's plenty more where this came from. So we're very pleased that most of what we're growing at the moment has been very successful. Well guys, that whatever you're doing, you stay safe and be happy, look after each other. Oh, peas. Thanks, Cheryl.
Have a pea.
Oh, they're delicious.
Nice.
Well, we've got supper to prepare. I'm sure we can put some of these peas in our paella this evening. As I was saying, you take care of yourselves. Come back and see us soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that little button in the corner. And we'll be back soon with more videos. In the Life's Good. Bye-bye for now. Ta-da.
Bye. Have that one.
These are lovely.
I know.
Oh, what a lot of goodies.
Quite a bit.
Supper time.
Yeah.
Okay.